let's jump into our first guest of the day. And I was really excited about this one. Peter Ox Christensen is joining us right now. Let's jump in. All right, guys, I got a special guest with us here today on Pure Evil MMA. Peter Ox Christensen, who is a boxing and MMA ring announcer, former radio on-air personality, entrepreneur. I want to introduce you to our audience here. Peter, how have you been?
I'm doing fantastic, Eddie. Thank you, man. It's just Peter Christensen. The Ox that kind of stuck. I forgot to take that part down.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
To it to this day.
I wanted to ask you, like, is that like your personality, like the Ox? Do people call you like the Ox backstage or something like that?
Not really. It's just kind of a name that stuck a long time ago. And so just because of the nature of the biz, Peter Christensen just seems to work a little bit better not having that nickname. Trying to make it a little bit more professional, a little more corporate friendly. That's about it. But people call me Ox quite a bit.
Now, so just to get like a little bit of a background on you, I've been following you for a while on Twitter. Everyone that's watching the video cast right now can actually, subscribe to your channel at Fight Night Voice. That's FIGHTNIGHTVOICE, Fight Night Voice. So, I had an interest in this as soon as I was into MMA, the ring announcers, the referees. I've always had interest in having you guys come on, but I got to, scratch your head really. On this one, how did you get into this business?
It's something I just sort of accidentally realized I might be good at. A friend of mine told me I had a good personality for it. And so what I actually did, I bought ringside seats to a fight night in Vegas. It was for Lion Fight Muay Thai.
Love Lion Fight.
Yeah, they're awesome. They've got a great product. And so after the fight night, I approached the ring announcer. His name's Sonny Franco.
Oh, Mr. Sonny Franco, everybody. Yep, love that guy.
Yeah. You know him. You seen his work?
Yeah, every time I see him at Foxwoods, we always catch up backstage and stuff.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. Sonny's a good dude. So I just approached him after the fights, and I told him that it's a business I was trying to get into, and he was quite receptive to it and said that he wanted to help me. And I owe a great deal of my success and what I've been able to accomplish to him. So he got me one of my first gigs with a grappling organization called Grappling X, and they're based out of the Temecula area, but they do jiu-jitsu tournaments up and down the state of California.
So of course, all of our listeners are going to want to know what's your background in combat sports. When did you really, jump on board with combat sports? Because really, our community out there, so it's still very underground, as mainstream as it is. With my mom watching Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor. A lot of the diehards and mostly even the casuals, it's really an underground thing. So, when did you jump on board with combat sports? What made you decide that, this is what you want to do within combat? I mean, obviously you're at Lion Fights checking out the Muay Thai. So, when did that all start?
Well, it goes back to a couple things. I had an interest in martial arts as a child, and that's where I dabbled in karate as a kid. And that's not to be a knock on karate. I just didn't enjoy the school I was at. But then after that, what I had done, I was actually worked as a radio DJ or air personality in Sacramento, California, and Modesto and other small markets. Did that for several years. And I also presented several live bands and interviewed bands on the air. And it was a lot of fun. I just didn't enjoy what came with the industry. But it was a lot of fun being on the air and doing that gig. But I left that years ago. And then the next step as far as combat sports, I was watching season 2 of The Ultimate Fighter, more like the highlights, the marathon of it, before season 3 was starting, featuring Ken Shamrock versus Tito Ortiz.
Yeah, that was a great season. Matt Hamill was on that season.
Good, man. It was hard for me because I was cheering for Team Shamrock, and we all know how that went.
Yep. That's a really good season. A lot of people were on board. That was really a breaking point for us combat sports fans with The Ultimate Fighter. How that broke. Everybody was watching Forrest Griffin versus Stephen Bonner. It really changed the game there. So yeah, season 2 is when a lot of people found themselves becoming a fan of the sport.
Yes, and what happened was I knew casually what MMA was. I knew it as more something like no holds barred, and I just thought it was more like these two guys getting in a cage and just slowing down and trying to beat the crap out of each other. And I didn't realize how much of the disciplines of martial arts went into it. And what I was really amazed about when I was watching The Ultimate Fighter, how well conditioned these athletes are, and what amazing flexibility and core strength they had. And then I just had an appreciation for them right away. I was thinking, oh my God, these are some of the best conditioned athletes in the world. And because of that appreciation and realizing how technical it was, I was a fan instantly.
Well,
and so I figured I'd want to work in this industry in some way. And like I said, a few years ago, a friend of mine stated that I had a good personality for ring announcing. And then that's when I made a go of it, of trying to reach out to people. And then that brings us to me sitting at the Lion Fight, Muay Thai Fight Night, and meeting Sonny Franco. And I owe a lot to him for helping me get where I am now.
You know, it's so funny that that was your path, because it really almost dittos my path. I started out in karate because back in the day there was no MMA gyms. Like you drive around, you'd see karate, you'd see taekwondo, but you would never see like a mixed gym. I started karate. I was really little. I never even followed through with it, but you know, I had interest in Power Rangers and stuff like that, and just the way that it evolved. You know, going to Blockbusters, running out of WWF WrestleManias to watch. You rent, you know, the UFC or whatever, and the Ultimate Fighter was just so groundbreaking. I think so many people really jumped on board with that, and it's still a tool that is used today. I mean, we're on our 26th season right now, about to find out who's going to be the next champ for that new females division. So now I kind of want to jump into some recent MMA news here with you, Peter. We just had UFC down in Brazil, and I was catching with you on Twitter about Colby Covington. I think that was what made the biggest stir this weekend in our sport. Yeah. So I gotta ask you, what was your take on Colby Covington?
Man, that is a tough call, because in any kind of conflict in life, and you and I both know this, being in any kind of business and personal relationships, there's three sides to a story. There's his side, and then the truth. So I don't really know what exactly has happened. I thought Colby was pretty harsh on the crowd, but then he did make a point to say that when he was in Brazil, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of people in Brazil were spitting at him, throwing bottles, and chanting, "You're gonna die." And I remember that was happening at a fight night previously in Brazil when Joe Rogan was interviewing one of the fighters during the weigh-in, and the crowd is chanting something in Brazilian Portuguese. And he asked the translator or someone nearby, what are they saying? And they informed him they were saying, "You're going to die." And Joe Rogan looked at the crowd and said, "That's not nice." So we don't know how often that is actually happening. We know that's Colby's side of the story. And if that's how he reacted in the cage post-fight interview-wise, I have to understand him and say I could see why that would piss off somebody, but I'm not excusing what he said, and that's probably not the route that I would go. You know, I'm a bit more of a purist. I like Colby's fighting style. I like what he does, but I really miss the days of when you had guys like Lyoto Machida fighting Randy Couture, or when Randy Couture fought Chuck Liddell, that sort of thing. I never got big into the trash talking, and so the trash talking really seemed to pick up in the sport because it's putting asses in the seats. You know, that's happened with Chael Sonnen, that happened with Conor McGregor. Tito Ortiz was doing that back in the day. And so that's not quite my cup of tea, but I see how it works. It does sell fights, and they are in the business of selling fights. So that being said, Colby seemed a little upset, understandably. But now, I haven't read up on this, but apparently there's some kind of drama going with him and his own teammates at American Top Team. Yeah. Apparently he's saying something where he's upset with Carlo Laborio. I didn't catch what he said, but I follow very closely the career of Ben Saunders, who's a UFC welterweight. And those of you who don't know, Ben Saunders was on season 6 of The Ultimate Fighter. It was Team Matt Serra against Team Matt Hughes. He was on Matt Serra's team. And I've never met Ben in person, but I love his character. I love his fighting style. And he's followed me back on Twitter. He's responded to me on Facebook. and he made some very direct posts on Facebook towards Colby about what he would like to do as far as challenging him, fighting him in the octagon. And he also did another, what I phrased as a very well-articulated post today. I just read it less than an hour ago. And he just explained how he felt about everything that Colby said, and he said he understood maybe he's just being a hill, like I highlighted earlier. Maybe he's just trying to put asses in the seats, sell fights. And if it was just fake and a build-up, he understands. But if what he was saying, as far as that was disparaging certain people at American Top Team, that he was not down with that. And so that's really interesting to see how that's going to unfold. And, you know, who knows, maybe that'll be a grudge match that they'll put together. I don't know. It would be really interesting. But news in the sport as far as what happened at UFC Sao Paulo, for sure.
You know, it's so crazy because it seems like every time Damian Maia fights down in Brazil, I mean, let's think of last time he was fighting Matt Brown. The crowd attacked Matt Brown last time he was down there. Even at the weigh-ins, they were all screaming at him, and he actually had his back turned to take a selfie of the crowd because the crowd was just so huge, and everyone started booing him. So he gave everybody the finger. I'm sure a lot of people will remember that. So, you know, after the fight or whatever, everyone was trying to grab at Matt, and you know, even on his walk to the octagon, people were grabbing his hat off. He got attacked down there.
Yeah, didn't like someone take a shot at him or shove him as he's walking into the octagon before the fight even started?
One of his old teammates after the fight got arrested for attacking him one day after the fight. So this is like an ongoing thing with Damian Maia and going down to Brazil. And unfortunately, he didn't win this time around. So I got to ask you, did you think that Colby Covington was going to win? I also have another thing to say about this, but did that surprise you? Because I think it surprised a lot of people out there.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, I have not followed Colby's career closely. The only thing I knew about him is that he was going nuts on Twitter, talking a lot of trash. And if I had seen one of his fights, I could not remember it. So, but because of his ranking and because of what Damian Maia is capable of, I figured, I kind of picked that Damian Maia would get him down at some point and submit him. And then I was amazed the way Maia came out and was just throwing leather right away. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, he's really busted up his face. And I'm thinking, wow, Damian Maia's striking looks a lot better since the Tyron Woodley fight. That was my first thought.
So, yeah.
And then it was just going back and forth, it looked like, but it looked like Colby kind of found his rhythm in the second round, and it looks like he dominated rounds 2 and 3 with the striking, and Damian Maia could never get him down. I guess Colby has great defensive wrestling. That was my take on it.
You know, I think it's crazy that Damian Maia came out like that myself, and it makes me a little nervous that if that's what Damian Maia was able to do and land some leather, you know, land some things on him, as you know, Curtis would say, or whatever, or Shannon Sharp. You know, it makes me nervous. What would Tyron Woodley do to Colby Covington? So, you know, I am scratching my head wondering about that fight, or maybe he'll even get the winner of Wonder Boy versus Masvidal for UFC 217. But, you know, we know this saying goes way back. Whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, it's publicity. People are paying attention, and that's what's going on with Colby Covington right now. So, you know, I think a lot of people are interested, or will have, you know, a certain interest to, you know, whether they want to see him get his ass kicked or see him win in there. Because, frankly, I'm surprised that he got past Damian Maia. I've interviewed Colby before in the past. He's a great guy. He's hilarious, and he has been voicing himself out. We're seeing a lot of fighters like you brought up. So, you know, hats off to Colby Covington, because I think that was one of the biggest takeaways of the weekend, next to Lyoto coming back. And I do have to say this, Peter. I don't think the UFC should ever market another poster with "she's back," "he's back," "they're back." Anytime they do that, it seems like the fighter always loses, whether it's Ronda Rousey using "she's back" or BJ Penn, and now we got, you know, the Dragon, unfortunately.
Yes. You know, they're building up the hype. They're trying to sell the tickets. Yeah, I'm not a fight promoter. I'm not a professional marketer, but I do see your point. It's a very good point. I mean, I'll just give you an example. If you remember, and I'm not saying I'm a mind reader, but if you remember, every time after Ronda Rousey would win a fight, you would see Dana White interviewed backstage by whatever Fox Sports personality. And, you know, his demeanor was like, when they say, "What did you think of Ronda?" His demeanor in response was something along the lines of, "Yeah, she was fantastic, man. That girl's badass. She really knows how to fight. She does a great thing. Oh, it was fantastic." And he's all smiles, right? Well, if you remember, after Holly Holm won the title off Ronda, when Dana was being interviewed backstage, he just had this look on him like, oh, yeah, she really knows how to fight. She picked apart Ronda. But there wasn't a whole lot of smiles there because Ronda Rousey was a big pay-per-view seller. She was making him money. So I can understand if he's a little let down by that. I'm kind of a Holly Holm fan because I really love her striking.
And imagine if she beats Chris Cyborg, if that fight gets set up, that would be crazy. Two of the most feared athletes in female mixed martial arts, Ronda Rousey and then Chris Cyborg. Holly Holm, if she defeats her, wow.
I want to see that fight. I absolutely want to see that fight. They both love to strike. They're well-rounded, and I think someone's going to sleep in that fight.
You know, years ago it was said that they would never have females, in the UFC, and I'm so happy they did because I'm loving every second of it. And now with that fight looming in the background, just the whole end of 2017, I'm really looking forward to here. We got UFC 217 coming up this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to that. But Peter, I was going through your Twitter page, man, and I saw it was I don't know if you've used them before, but these things called dude wipes, and I have to ask you, what the hell are those?
That's the same thing I thought when I first saw dude wipes on a fighter's shorts years ago. You know, it's just a prepackaged wipe with some type of moisturizer and some type of oils and whatnot. It's just to help you wipe down after a workout. They're not an official sponsor of mine, but dude wipes, if you're listening or watching, I enjoy your product. If you want to talk sponsorship, hit me up. Fight Night Voice at Twitter. Fight Night Voice at Instagram. But it was fantastic because I used it after I was out for a run for the day, and I wiped down myself because I didn't have time for a shower, and I had to go out and meet some friends later. And it kind of took care of me just in the sense that it just cleaned me up a little bit quick because I didn't have time for that shower. Took 20 seconds to use the dude wipes. Felt fresh, and it worked out well.
You know, Kevin Lee probably should have got himself some dude wipes. Maybe he wouldn't have had that staph infection.
Oh, I can't believe you went there.
Well, you know what? Like, athletes, they really need to keep up with their hygiene. So, you definitely want to have... And, it's kind of girly, so the name Dude Wipes kind of fits really well. So I definitely check them out on your page. Yes. But, Peter...
And what I actually do, I forgot to tell you, as far as my martial arts background, mind you, I'm a very novice martial artist, if you will, but I do very, very basic jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing. But I keep a generic brand of tea tree oil wipes. Some other brands try to sell their wipes that are a little bit more expensive and that just contain tea tree oil, but I just buy a more generic brand, and I just use them to wipe down after a class if I've been rolling on the mat or if I don't have time for a shower. Most of the time I do, but that's just something to do because a lot of those products have tea tree and eucalyptus oil, and I just use that to wipe down after the gym, and I got to head out if I'm not going to be able to shower at home for like another half hour or so.
Yeah, I wanted to get into what projects that you're working on right now. I know that you got the the fight announcing. So are there any events that you have upcoming that people will be able to see you at?
There's nothing on the books as far as what's coming up, but what I can tell you for sure what I've done is I've hosted a few events working with the aforementioned Grappling X. And if you want to check them out for jiu-jitsu tournaments up and down the state of California, they're at grapplingx.com, I believe. And they also have a YouTube channel. Just look up Grappling X. The last event I did with them was in Wildomar, California. It's right by Temecula, Murrieta area for people that know that area in the Southland. And that was September 23rd for their youth super fight. So it's grappling only, no striking. It was for an under-18 super fight. So it wasn't a bracketed tournament. It's just where kids from various gyms take on each other. So I have that. And then also I hosted a Muay Thai fight night for Whirlwind Fighting Promotions in San Francisco, California. And that was a IKF sanctioned fight night, excuse me. And there was a title fight, which was fantastic. It was for the California State Amateur Super Heavyweight Muay Thai title. One of the guys weighed in actually at 323 pounds.
Wow. See,
it was nuts. So, yeah, that's what I had recently. Oh, and then also I forgot to say, thank you to Douglas Edwards for that. He's a promoter. He started Whirlwind Fighting Promotions. It was for a fight called Contenders League. And then what I just did shortly after that, in September in Las Vegas, I was at the Mr. Olympia Bodybuilding and Fitness Expo, and I emceed boxing and martial arts demonstration exhibition.
That's awesome.
And there were folks out there from Hawaii Boxing, a great gym in Las Vegas. They came from Hawaii. It's called Hawaii Boxing. And you can catch them on Instagram, actually. They post a lot of content there. Just look up Hawaii Boxing. So that's what I've been doing lately. But I'm also making myself available for where anyone does need an MC, a fight announcer, or host or something to that degree. I've been speaking with powerlifting promoters and things of that nature. So absolutely, if anyone wants to know more, get at me. Feel free to email me. The email is thosearefightingwords@gmail.com. And I can send you some samples of my work. So that's what's going on, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a fantastic ride.
And you're located...
Oh, and also, I should just say one more thing. With doing that announcing in Las Vegas, I got to give a shout-out also to Mike Chu of Havoc Gym in Sacramento for helping set that up for me. And go ahead. What was your next question, Eddie?
I got to say, man, you're located out in California, right?
Yes, I'm in San Francisco.
So before I let you go, you brought up the whole Muay Thai thing, meeting Sonny Franco at Muay Thai fights.
Yeah.
If there's anybody out there that is, just getting into MMA and you're like, I don't really understand what's going on the ground, you like more of the stand-up, go check out a local Muay Thai show. It's always a lot of fun. I always bring my family down, because they don't really understand what's going on the ground sometimes. They want to see the stand-up action, the kick, more the kickboxing style. So anyone out there, you should definitely go check out a local Muay Thai show. And Peter, I want to thank you so much for coming on Pure Evil MMA. I know that you got a really busy day ahead of you out there. So, before we let you go, is there anything else that you want to get out there?
Let's see. Actually, Eddie, I just have a question for you because I'd like to get your thoughts. We didn't quite touch on this.
Okay.
Because you were talking about UFC using posters that say he's back, she's back. What do you think? I thought you were going to ask me, but I'm just going to ask you. I'm going to play interviewer for a second.
All right, I love it.
What do you think the future? What do you think the future holds for Lyoto Machida? What do you think is next or should be next for him?
It was kind of tough knowing that he was coming back to fight somebody like Derek Brunson, who's really picking up confidence after his last fight where he just got a knockout over Dan Kelly. So I was a little surprised there. You got a guy coming back after almost 2 years away from the octagon. Now, I don't know what he was up to, whether he was trying to stay sharp. I don't even know if I even believe in ring rust, but it was just a surprise that they didn't give him, like a warm-up, a heater kind of warmer-up, or like they do in boxing.
Sure. A fighter. I am not a professional coach or a fight promoter, but I'll tell you, when I saw Lyoto Machida get knocked out by Luke Rockhold, I don't know if you remember, shortly before he got knocked out, toward the end of the first round, he took an elbow to the side of the head, which I think he said he felt on the back of his head a bit. I just remember seeing that elbow land and sitting there cringing, thinking, ouch.
This is the third loss in a row now.
It's really hard to see fighters go through that, and he suffered a bad knockout, and then we saw what happened in the next fight when he got knocked out by Yoel Romero, cold. It was really bad. And then after seeing this with Brunson, I don't know where the level of his chin is. I just get worried when I see that happening. But like you said, I don't want to necessarily see him turn back. I love watching him fight. I love his style. But I get worried when guys are taking bad knockouts after a while. We see that happen, and then we have to think about safety. But I'm always down to see him fight. So there's that tough dilemma we're in as fans,
It's scary because this is the elite level. I mean, this is, top-notch guys that are active, like Derek Brunson, who's just been fighting every 6 months now. So I was just a little surprised that they matched him up with him to make him come back. Even when they matched Ronda up with Amanda, I was like, is that a smart idea? And we saw what unfolded there. But then sometimes it works, like the Korean Zombie making his return against Dennis Bermudez. He was away for 2 years, comes out and gets one of the best knockouts in 2017. So this is why it's hard to think about ring rust.
Yeah, you just never know. Some people say that ring rust is real. Some people say they don't believe in it. And like you said, you just don't know what's going to happen if someone comes back. By the way, you were asking if there was anything else I wanted to share. Can I please share with you my Serra phone conversation story?
Oh, please do.
Okay, so my Matt Serra story is that I was a big fan of him because when he was on The Ultimate Fighter Season 4, The Comeback. And so, since he won the finale, he got a shot at the welterweight title, which at the time was held by George St. Pierre. So, I figured, when he's getting ready for the fight, it's about 6 weeks before his fight, I'm just a fan, I'm nobody. I wasn't working in the industry at the time. I'll call up his gym. I called up his gym, Serra Jiu-Jitsu, and a guy just answers the phone. I say, "Hi, is Matt there?" And he says, "Oh, no, he's not here." So I figure, like any business, he's got a voicemail set up, something he can transfer me to as far as the voicemail box. So I said, "Okay, does he have a voicemail?" The guy says that you can try his cell phone. I said, "Oh, okay, what is it?" He gave me the number like it was nothing. So I take the number. I thought about it for about a minute or two. I thought, should I do it? Should I do it? Then I said, yeah. So I called the number. It's ringing. It's ringing. I'm very, very nervous because I figure Matt Serra's going to say, "Man, who the hell are you calling me? I don't know you." So I get his voicemail. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's his voice. So I start leaving a message saying, Mr. Serra? My name's Peter Christensen, and I'm a big fan of yours. And I just saw you on Ultimate Fighter Season 4. I really loved your character. And I just wanted to wish you all the best with your fight against GSP. I understand if you're in the middle of camp, blah, blah, blah. I figure I'm not going to hear from him. I programmed his number into my phone, and I'm just chilling there at home. I was actually doing a workout. I was doing some push-ups, I remember. And I look at the phone. It's ringing. It's Matt Serra. And so my heart rate just started skyrocketing because I thought he was going to be pissed off when I answered. So I answered the phone very timidly, literally going like, "Hello?"
I could see it, yeah.
And literally, this is what he says. "Hey, is this Peter Christensen?" I said, "Yes." He says, "What's up, dude? It's Matt Serra."
So it's just like him.
Oh, yeah, he was cool. He's like, "Hey, thanks for calling, bro. That was fucking cool." He was the coolest guy. We talked for about 20 minutes.
I could see he's like one of the most laid back, out there characters in MMA.
Yes, very much. He's very, very goofy. He likes to crack jokes just like me. But, man, he's just a character, and he's a hard ass, and I love that guy.
That was a good.
I never met him in person.
That was.
I hope I get to one day. He wouldn't remember me because that was literally 10 years ago. But what was really wonderful, I don't know if you remember on the show, he had a conflict with the grappling coach named Mark Lehman. And Mark Lehman was going out of his way often to trash talk in particular, Royce Gracie, and about how he got beat by Matt Hughes.
And Matt trains. Doesn't Matt train with? Isn't he under?
Henzo.
Yeah, he's under Henzo. I'm sorry, Henzo follows Pure Evil MMA. I don't know why I was even drawing that blank there. Yeah, he's under Henzo.
Shouts out to Henzo Gracie, by the way, because he followed me back on Twitter. I love Henzo Gracie, and the one time I met Henzo, he was incredibly gracious. Very cool dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's definitely a cool dude.
And yeah, so when Matt had that conflict with Mark Lehman, he called him out on it. It was really cool. But the segment was only about 2 or 3 minutes long. And so I asked him on the phone, and this is what I loved about how real he was being. I said, "Okay, Matt, I really like how you spoke your mind in regards to that issue. But between you and me, can you tell me, was any of that doctored in any way? I know how reality TV works." And he literally says, "Oh, fuck no, bro. I said a lot more shit than that. They edited all that out."
Took all the good stuff out.
Yeah, I know. I want to see the unaired footage.
Absolutely crazy. Every season just got crazier and crazier. Then Rampage ends up ripping doors apart in the later seasons. 26 seasons later, man, and we still have GSP about to fight this weekend.
I know. I mean, he's been in the game forever.
You're talking about the winner of season 4.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, GSP before he won the title.
Yeah.
He was a guest coach on season 4.
crazy, man. It's just so crazy. That was a really good idea how they did that comeback season. Anyone who hasn't seen that season, definitely, if you have UFC Fight Pass, go back and see that season. Even the one that we were talking about earlier in the interview with Tito Ortiz and Frank Shamrock. I think that was season 2.
Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. Yep. I think
that was great. That was great. But season 4 was one of the best seasons. But the first one is always going to be epic. I have that on DVD. I still watch it. But I think the one for me was season 6 that featured Ben Saunders. It was Team Matt Serra versus Team Matt Hughes.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of good season, and Matt Hughes is getting a lot better. Thank God, he's making a really quick recovery. But you know what, Peter? That was a really good freaking interview of Matt Serra. If you called in my show using the Matt Serra voice and told me it was Matt Serra, I would have believed it. I think all of our listeners probably would have believed it too.
You know what the funny thing is? I have not done anything with this, and people tell me to work this in the ring announcing or emceeing, but I do various celebrity impersonations.
They should just hire you to do both Matt Serra's voice and your own, and then just say Matt Serra's there. Then they got, killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
That would be...
there you go.
That's dangerous territory we're getting into. I'm afraid I might get a knock on my door from Matt Serra. I don't know if I want to go there. But I do like doing his voice, and I'm sure he appreciates it.
Yeah, I might have to get you recording and say, hey guys, this is Matt Serra, and you're listening to Pure Evil MMA. You just do it so good. But, Peter, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had a lot of laughs with you. We definitely have to have you back on again. And, since it's the Halloween episode, I have to leave you with this one last question. What's your favorite Halloween movie? And, what did you do for Halloween?
Oh, man. Of all the questions to hit me with, you know what? I have not gone out for Halloween in years. So I really can't say that I did anything outside of the ordinary.
Well, usually for older guys like us, we just watch Halloween movies, pretty much. That's our Halloween.
Yeah, you know what? I got kind of burned out on it, but what I did enjoy, they weren't Halloween movies, but I'll say this, I did enjoy Scream.
The MTV series or the actual movies?
Oh, no, sorry. No, the movie with Nev Campbell.
Yep. They have all those on HBO.
Actually, what I do like to watch, I know we're going off a little bit, I liked Scary Movie, which was the spoof on all the horror films.
Yeah, they got that on Netflix too. They got Scary Movie too. Matter of fact, really funny thing, when that first movie came out, Scary Movie, I think I was in 4th grade, and it was rated R at the time. Yeah. I made my grandmother bring me to the movies, and it was like a lesson in sexual education, man. I don't think my grandma knew what she was in for. And looking back on it, man, it's so funny. So my dad was like, you made your grandmother sit there through this? I was like, I had no idea we were going to see stuff like that. I didn't even know guys can do that.
Yeah. Hey, sexual education. You know that herb that people take for memory? Ginkgo biloba?
No, nope.
Oh, okay. It's not as common now. So ginkgo biloba helps memory. So what I've been telling people is that my grandmother can't afford Viagra, so I buy him ginkgo biloba so he can remember what it's like to be erect.
That's a good one.
I have to give credit to Ron White for that.
That's a really good one. Well, Peter, I want to thank you so much for coming on Pure Evil MMA. Before we let you go, is there any shout outs or anything before we sign off here?
Yes, just once again, gotta say thanks to Douglas Edwards of Whirlwind Fighting Promotions. Thanks to Sonny Franco, ring announcer. Oh, and also, of course, the Grappling X, Corey Cass. That's his organization. And also give a shout out to the timekeeper, Terry Burton. It was fantastic working with him at the Muay Thai Fight Night for Whirlwind Fighting. And Terry Burton's actually a great timekeeper. He does a lot of the Bellator events, among other things. Oh, and referee Dan Bam Bam Stell.
The unsung heroes.
Yes. And, I got to say thanks to Evil Eddie, too, having me on.
Yeah, man, we definitely have to have you back on here for Pure Evil MMA and MyMMAnews.com. Thank you so much, Peter.